we went up to this boot camp, church planting boot camp up in where was that? That was Iowa, Ames, Iowa, with the idea of maybe someday planting a church. And the whole idea of the boot camp was determining your call. And so Wendy and I, we sat down, and after going to the boot camp, we sat down and we just discussed, what is it that captures our passions? She said, well, troubled youth. I want to reach troubled youth. And I said, well, that's exactly what I want to reach. From there, we went back to Columbia and sat down with the pastor and we talked about it a little bit and said, this is what we want to do. We want to start bringing these troubled youth, we want to start reaching out to them and bringing them to church and just getting into their lives and inviting them into ours. And to our shock and amazement, he said, well, that's cool. You want to lead the youth group? And of course, we're a church that has an average of 70 people in it.
We went to the boot camp in February. We came back, started talking to our sons about their trip to Wisconsin for winter blast, and found out that they had a few words spoken over them about youth group getting started in our church.
At winter blast, we were, me, my brother, and his girlfriend Megan, we're all sitting listening to Jeff Connor give a sermon, and somewhere in between the sermon he pointed out they felt like that he was getting a lot of stuff from God, saying that we were going to come back home and start a youth group in Vineyard in Columbia.
That was pretty exciting to hear, just that God had said and spoken to them, and so it was a little bit more confirmation.
We were dumbfounded. We didn't know what to say, and so we thought, well, we'll pray about it, and so that's what we did. We prayed about it, and we came back a week or so later and met with them again and said, yeah, I think God really does want us to do this. We had exactly about 4 or 5 youth in our church at that time, and so, but we didn't care. We went ahead and started.
I think about it, I think back now to the last year, and it seemed like it was going to be a really daunting task.
We started doing an event a month, and so we just to do relational stuff with the kids.
We spent a lot of time the next few months just kind of thinking through our vision, how we wanted to get things started.
We didn't know what to do, and it just hit us, pancakes and pirates. So we got the projector, and we showed Pirates of the Caribbean on their wall, and we made chocolate chip pancakes and banana pancakes, and that was our first official event. And I think we had something like 7 or 8 kids even show up to that. That was kind of cool. They brought friends and stuff. So
it didn't take us very long to realize that we needed to do 2 things, and that was love the kids and teach them how to love God.
Yeah, and so just getting into these kids' lives is really important.
We just started spending a lot of time with the kids that we had, just having different parties, just spending time with them on an individual basis. We took just the whole summer and did that before we started our regular meetings in September.
At one point we invited this one kid to go just hang out and have a hamburger. Drug him out of bed first, and then went and fed him a cheeseburger. And then we were leaving, and as I was coming out of the restaurant, Dwight and this kid were standing there, and Dwight says, hey, so have you ever committed your life to Christ? And he said, no, not at all. I said, so you wanna? And he said yes. And so we went and we sat in the car, and he committed his life to Christ. There's another Hardee's on the other side of town, and I was hanging out with this kid's brother. And Dwight, he asked the question. He asked it. He said, have you ever committed your life to Christ? And he said no. And I waited a little bit longer to see if Dwight would follow up. And after a minute, he did. And I said, so you wanna? And no kidding, this kid, he accepted Christ right there in the middle of Hardee's. It was kind of amazing. And I think that's what it's kind of all about. It's getting to know these kids, taking them to do what you're doing, whether it's feeding the homeless or getting blankets to the homeless or feeding, you know, whatever, helping the impoverished and just being a part of their lives, taking them with you to do that, and then loving them at the same time. And then when you tell them that you can do this too, that's when they change, because they see you actually living out the kingdom and doing the stuff instead of just talking about doing the stuff.
We didn't even have much of a team. We kept kind of being told we needed to develop a team, and we didn't have. It was just kind of us and Jason at the time, and God just kind of in a few weeks of getting started in regular meetings, God just brought a lot of people who had a heart for youth, but it was just totally God putting a good team together, and now there's 7 of us.
Some of the kids that started showing up, there was one kid who was homeless. He started coming. Then there was a couple sisters who were living in just really impoverished conditions.
The kind of kids that we wanted to reach, wow, we just, like, they just started coming.
And I don't think they had electricity half the time. There's this girl, she's about 12 years old. She's been cutting herself for the past year or so.
Sometimes they would just come and they'd only be there for a week. It just really made it hit home how important it was to love them while we had them. That was the thing we always kept saying, we have to love them while we have them.